Hello, back again. This is awkward. So, weight loss journey, what happened there? Well, really what happened was, I think one of my last videos, I was, wanting to lose another 30 pounds. I was at 230, and then after that, a lot of stuff happened, which I will get into, but I actually did end up losing that entire 30 pounds, got down to 200, and then in the process of, I don't know, however long it's been, I gained almost that full 30 pounds back. So we're talking about that happening and what to do next. It happens. I wasn't eating sugar, lots of different things, and then once I started eating sugar again, it was just like, yeah, the weight just, and I switched jobs where I was standing a lot, or not standing a lot, sitting a lot. That is when I started putting on weight, and I lost my goal, you know what I mean, which was never really about weight loss. It's about balance and healthy living. So we are back in the place that I was when I first made that last video. So I've lost 30 pounds total. I had lost 60 pounds total, and then I gained 30 back. So here we are. Let's jump right into why I haven't filmed any videos. I found out I had a seizure in December of 2020, of course, 2020, and went to a neurologist. Basically, we were like, okay, well, you had one seizure. It could be a lot of different reasons, but basically in the past I've had these things called auras, and I didn't know they were called auras. It's just like an intense feeling that nobody really knows why you're having it. I've had it for a long time, and then I was having a bunch of those auras that day. It was, again, December of 2020, can't remember the date, and yeah, I just ended up, I closed my eyes and I woke up in an ambulance, half awake, trying to like tear off whatever the IV that they had in me, and screaming for my mom. And then I woke up after that completely coherent in the hospital, where my sister told me I had a seizure. And I remember thinking, oh, okay, that makes sense. And either way, I've had these auras for like the past 15 years, and I had Googled it, right? I didn't ever go to a doctor. I just Googled, oh, like I'm having this intense deja vu feeling, and other just factors. And in a forum that I had found, like buried in Google, it was like, you could have a brain tumor, you could have epilepsy, you could have all this stuff. And I was like, well, hope I don't have any of that. And it didn't affect my day-to-day life. I wasn't having them very often, and the past couple years it's just been happening more and more. And then bam, I had a seizure, a grand mal seizure, to be clear. So then what next? I didn't want to get on medicine because, as I have kind of indicated, I would love to do things in a holistic, healthy way. I don't really want to be on medicine and just different things. I was very determined not to. So I was like, even trying like keto, to be like, oh, a keto diet can sometimes help children with epilepsy who don't respond with meds. And that just wasn't, maybe wasn't the best idea, but I just wanted to not do it with meds. I was like, I had one seizure. We don't even know what's going on. I'm 30 something years old. Like, this is crazy. So, a couple months later, I had an aura. I'm sorry, I had gone to a neurologist. The neurologist was like, listen, you've had one seizure. You can't drive now for 90 days, which by the grace of God, my sister was able to drive me to work for that 90 days. And he was like, we don't have to put you on medicine, but, we'll just go from here, because he knew how adamant I was about not being on meds. My family was very upset with me. So either way, I had maybe one other aura in that 90 days. I didn't have a seizure or anything. And then one day I was at work, and I worked with animals. I work with animals, and I was taking care of a dog. I picked the dog up, and I kind of got a head rush, almost like my blood pressure was kind of off. And I had an aura, and I was like, crap, like I need to go put this dog up. And again, if you don't know what auras are, you can kind of Google that, but it's just a very intense feeling, way more intense than regular deja vu or regular head rush. It's just very weird, and that's why it's very hard to go to a doctor and say, I have an intense feeling. They're like, okay. So I ignored it for that long. And so anyways, I had that. There's a fly. I had that, and so I then put the dog up, and I have a distinct memory of laying down on the floor in my job area, and I was by myself. Nobody was in there except a bunch of dogs in kennels. So I remember laying down on the floor, but apparently that didn't happen. Long story short, I woke up and I couldn't really like get up. I was just kind of very sleepy, and I remember reaching out and just couldn't really get up, and I kind of was falling back asleep. I was in and out of sleep, and finally my coworker comes and finds me, and she's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "I think I have a bad headache." I think I crawled to the floor and I went to sleep. I don't know what happened. So I am like massaging my temple. My head is swollen, and it's very weird. And in my head though, I am positive I laid down on my own, and I was like, maybe it's a migraine. And I just had all these theories in my head of what could have caused my seizure. And so it's like migraines can sometimes, you know, be an indicator of, or seizures can be sometimes an indicator of migraines, and just different things. So she ended up taking me home, and I was living with my sister at the time, which my last video, I was living with my sister, and now I have my own apartment. And so I was living with my sister at the time, and she took me home. I don't really have good memories of all of this. And my brother-in-law was there, and I laid down on the couch, and that was really the last thing I remember. I woke up and my sister's home, and I'm like, "Hey," and she's looking at me. She's like, "Hey," and I'm like, "Hey, what's up?" She's like, "You just had a seizure." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" You know, I was so sleepy. I was like, I was just sleeping. And she informed me that no, when I got home, laid on the couch, my brother-in-law I had another grand mal seizure, and he called my sister freaking out. He was timing it, different things, like if it lasts more than 5 minutes, call 911 type of thing. So I was just like, I had a seizure. I didn't believe it. I was like, no, Joel's wrong. That's my brother-in-law. Joel's wrong. And she's like, yes, Alicia, you did. And I was completely out of it. And and then I realized, I didn't fall asleep I didn't crawl to the ground and fall asleep at work after my aura. I must have had a seizure. So I texted my boss, and we have video cameras in that room, and he looked at the cameras and informed me, yeah, Alicia, you had a seizure. He sent me the video, and I watched it, and it was hard to watch, because I literally had a dog in my hands, was putting them in a kennel, and then I just fall to the floor. That's why my head was swollen. That's why I had a migraine. I had fallen to the floor, had a seizure. I couldn't even watch the whole thing, because it's not fun to watch yourself convulsing. And it was just by the grace of God I was okay, honestly. If it, I could have fallen and hit my head anywhere, or I could have been driving. Obviously I was still not driving at that point, but still it's scary to think about, right? So then, since I had another seizure, now I had to repeat that protocol of not driving for 90 days. So yeah, all of that happened, and after that seizure, well, 2 seizures now, that same day, 2 seizures in one day, I immediately called my neurologist, got an appointment, got put on medication, and he was basically like, listen, if the medication works and you don't have any more seizures, you probably have epilepsy, and if it doesn't work, then we need to figure out what's going on. And I've been on medication now. That was December of 2020. No, sorry, that was March of 2021. It is now June of 2022. I've been on medication that entire time and have not had an aura, a seizure, nothing. Please, Lord. By the grace of God, again, I haven't had anything, and I was having auras all the time. And again, auras is a type of seizure, basically, but it doesn't affect. I could be having one right now and talking to you, and you wouldn't know it unless I told you. So I was having those all the time for the past 15 years. So being on medication, having none of that, no more seizures, I mean, it was a blessing. And I was so scared to be on medication. But I talked to my friend who deals with this, and she encouraged me, like, girl, you're fine, like, just do it. And yeah, it's been a huge blessing. So that is why I stopped filming any videos of my weight loss journey, because I was kind of dealing with that. And then that got, I got on medication, and then I ended up moving out of my sister's not shortly after. I stayed with my sister up until January of this year, so January 2022. And I moved out into my own apartment, self-sufficient gal. It was honestly because of my mother, who helped me find this apartment, and a great deal, because it's where she lives too. And yeah, I got a new job. I'm not working at that same job, and I really love the job that I have now. And yeah, my faith has been everything. God has been everything. Focusing on that, and I kind of woke up and I was like, oh wow, I gained that 30 pounds back that I had lost, that you haven't even seen, because the last time I took a video was when I was still trying to lose that 30 pounds. I had lost that amount of weight, and a lot of different reasons. Obviously, I had health issues, so I wasn't eating as much. So yeah. back at that weight loss journey, and that's really what I'm doing this video for, is to document that. Oh, also, because it's a COVID time, I forgot to say, October of 2021, so been on epilepsy. I've been on epileptic medication. October of 2021, me and my family got COVID. My mom excluded because I was living with my sister at the time. So we all in that household got COVID. My brother-in-law got over it pretty quickly. Me and my sister suffered quite a bit. Sick for 10 days, like just down for the count. And after 10 days, I woke up and I was throwing up water, couldn't breathe, ended up going to the hospital because I was worried I had pneumonia and my oxygen level was really down because we got one of those little, like finger ones. And yeah, at that time they were like, listen, if you have pneumonia, you pretty much have to go home and we'll give you some medicine, things like that. Well, my heart rate was so high, they ended up keeping me that night, first night in the hospital. My oxygen dropped and they were like, oh crap. So they put me on oxygen. I was in the hospital for 5 days with COVID pneumonia is what they called it. So that was very scary. I'm not even going to get into COVID right now, but that was terrifying. And no, I'm not vaccinated or wasn't vaccinated at that time either. So very scary. COVID is very real. It affects people differently. It is just a very real thing. And even if you're not affected by it as badly, please don't assume other people aren't. But don't also, the vaccination is a whole nother topic. So that was horrible, and by the grace of God, again, it didn't affect anything with my seizures, so that was a blessing. Yeah, and then after that, just thankful to be alive, getting through that stress, and then I moved out January of 2022 to my own apartment, and yeah, things just feel really good right now. I'm very blessed to be where I am, and need to focus on my health again. Spiritual health always first, mental health, physical health, and then just finding a balanced way of eating because I started eating sugar again. So yeah, a little bit of a sugar addict, and I realized I can't do it. I can eat healthy things, just I can't have Oreos and cookies and cakes and all that stuff because I don't know moderation, and maybe one day I can, but it's really bad. It's made me gain a bunch of weight. So I started off this weight loss journey there's a fly. I started off at this weight loss journey, 260, lost 30 pounds. That's where I ended the last video. I lost that other 30 pounds, and then I gained it all back. So here we are. I'm at 220 something, and I'm gonna document what I'm gonna eat, what I'm gonna do, and just use this as like a journal. Why not? Just gonna video journal my life. I like it. It's been stressful, a couple stressful years, and that's okay. God is good, and He is using this time of struggle and suffering for all of us for something better. So if you are going through anything, just know that I'm praying for you, and God's got you, and we're all in this together, ultimately. So just keep hope alive, people. That's really all I got for you. So again, just a little video to say, hey, I'm gonna make videos. If you want to watch them, that's great, but also doing this for myself and just documenting and helping motivate me stay accountable. And yeah, and I did go to Trader Joe's, and I got a lot of stuff that I've been making. It's not like I'm just like, oh, I'm gonna start now. I've actually been doing really good as far as like eating. It's just my portion control and sugar. So we're gonna start there, and that is it. That's all I got. Okay. Bye.